What's the first thing you remember?
Oh, the first thing I remember is waking up, feeling a little bump, but then waking up with my car basically on my lap.
I'll be honest with you. I kind of wear my feelings on my shirt sleeve sometime, and I had to tell Tammy, I said, Tammy, you're gonna have to wait a second here because you just brought back some memories and emotions that I haven't dealt with in a long, long time, so hold on here. And so she said, totally understand, I've been there myself, and I said, okay, I will definitely do whatever it is you need me to do.
I don't know what I had hit, but I knew that something was very, very wrong. The steering wheel was very, very close to my chest. I could only see basically the very upper portions of my legs and knew that I had broke my left leg because it was very swollen. I heard some people talking outside the car, and of course I went into flight nurse mode and started asking questions about what I hit and who I hit and could they get me out to go take care of that person. And when they said, no, we're gonna have to wait for the rescue squad to get you out.
And as I'm going home north on 67, I see two cars steaming on the side of the road in the wrong lane, the opposite lane I was in, and I could tell it was a head-on. So I had my uniform on, my radio. I jumped out, called dispatch, said there's a 1050, there's an accident, you know, send rescue. And I got over to the car and I could not tell who it was.
When we got on scene, we saw two vehicles, had obviously hit head on, driver's side to driver's side. I remember I was on the crew that was running the jaws that morning. We were assigned to pop the door on Lisa's car. Didn't know it was Lisa's car at that point. Got the door popped, started working. She was trapped, her feet and her legs pretty well under the dash. It wasn't until I think we started actually working more closely around her in the car that I kind of realized who it was.
And whenever I told this story, and even to Lisa, I had to say what I saw was a scary Halloween mask. That's the only thing in my life that I could ever equate that to. You couldn't tell who it was. Now, all of us probably knew Lisa from her being in the ER at Lakeland, flying with the helicopter. Occasionally she'd be there and in her flight uniform. Well then, standing there looking at her, talking to her, I realized this is Lisa Heinz. And it didn't look good. It looked like she was gonna die.
And it's not that it really changes what we do. We do what we do when we get there, but you know, we've had multiple calls where you actually know the patients and it brings a different light to it. You know, as Deputy Post said, there's a lot of things that we do and see at calls that we kind of forget. We kind of let go probably to maintain our sanity a lot of times, and calls like this stick with you a little longer.
I remember getting everything ready, and the squad came in, and we all got into the trauma room, and of course you don't know, you're working right away and you don't realize who it is. And I remember looking down, and of course Lisa was already telling us, you know, do this and do that and give me some morphine and I need something for nausea, and we're like, oh my God, it's Lisa, because we couldn't tell, you know, by her face. And that's always been my fear of taking care of people you know. But in fact, we were just talking about this a couple weeks ago at work, that you just somehow, you just know that you have to do it, and you just kind of block that person out, and you don't treat them any different, but they are kind of in the back of your head that, okay, I know this person, whatever, but you just do your job.
That morning when we got the call, it was sobering. We were terrified that you had come off of a night shift. It's a reality for all of us. And I think that flight over was probably one of the most somber flights I've ever been on. We were quiet. We didn't know what to expect. We were terrified. I played through scenarios of what you might be like or what might be going on. We were given some details, I think, and head trauma was in it, and so we were prepared for the worst. We're always prepared for the worst, but I think as soon as we got in there and we saw your eyes and knew you were okay, then we got better.
You know, I know it must have been awful for them to see me like that, but I was very thankful for them to be there to take care of me. I remember the ride to the hospital. I remember my nurse, Mary Vale, and my doctor, Dr. Fickery. And then when the flight team walked in and it was Blake and Dr. Perino, I knew I was absolutely in the best hands ever, and that I was going to the freighter to the trauma center to be taken care of. And they knew that I was okay because, of course, I was barking orders because I was the flight nurse. So they knew that I was okay.
I remember your recovery. I remember seeing you in a wheelchair coming back around a couple of times for visits or things like that.
Yeah.
Tammy was always concerned.
Tammy always brought me.
Yeah, and she was always very, she always let us know what you were doing and how you were doing.
I think going from caregiver, flight nurse, you know, that adrenaline rush and taking care of patients, to then needing to be the patient and being taken care of, it just gave me that different perspective so that, and I knew without a doubt that I was gonna go back to work and to go back to being a flight nurse, just changed my approach to how I took care of patients, you know, to spend that extra time holding somebody's hand, making sure I reassured them, making sure that if I was going to call their family, I was going to call their family and, you know, talk to them and, you know, just try to really be the best part of somebody's worst day, because those people were the best part of my worst day and I needed to give that back.
And I was so shocked that you got back into, you know, that type of career, but thank you for doing that. Thank you for your service.
Thanks for being there that day.
Both of you, thank you.
Group hug.
Group hug.
Group hug.
And as I remember, it was one of those times when everything we tried worked.
It did, which doesn't always happen, but yeah, it's, you know, and that's where the training pays off sometimes. You know, it's, you do what you do, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that morning, everything we did fell right into place and
Came out pretty well.
Came out pretty well. So, and as somebody said before, I think it was Tammy, it's a team effort. You know, no single person in any crew is any good without everybody else. And from Deputy Post showing up on scene first to all of us showing up as fire and rescue to the hospital staff to the flight team, it takes every one of those people to make a successful outcome like this. So,
Yep. And I can't thank you guys enough for being there. Yeah.
thanks.
I was glad you were there that day.
Well, that's good. I've been there quite a long time.
Yes,
so.
you have, yeah.
Yeah. Well, glad everything turned out good. So, yeah.
Then all of a sudden one day at an accident, it was on Highway 20, I think it was Leans Mill in that area, somewhere in there, where a guy hit a tree. I don't know if it was you guys that showed up for that or East Troy, probably East Troy. And they're standing around after the accident scene, and all of a sudden I hear this voice, Jerry Post? I'm like, who was that? I look around, there's a bunch of people standing, Jerry Post? And I look at her and I'm like, yeah, that's me. And she goes, you don't remember me? I'm like, she goes, Lisa Heinz. And I'm like, oh my God, you're okay. You know, and I told the reporter, I said, she looks as beautiful as she did back then. She hasn't changed a bit. So, you know what? I just really appreciate being able to tell you guys what the story was and how that all worked out for me. And I'm glad that she's back with us and she's gonna be good forever. Amen.
gives you a different perspective going from being the flight nurse and being the caregiver to now needing the person needing to be taken care of. Very, very humbling, but also extremely just touching to know that you have a team of people that take care of you, and despite knowing you and being upset by the fact that they know you, they're going to do their best job to take care of you. I would always wear a little guardian angel pin, and she was on my flight suit that day. And my car was a 1989 Dodge Colt with no airbags. Yes, I had my seatbelt on, but I had no injuries in my chest or my abdomen. I had no broken ribs. And her little wings are folded up. She still has a chunk of my flight suit in there. And it just makes me think that at the time of my crash, she folded her wings over me, and that's why I didn't have injuries there. So she travels around with me. She's in my truck all the time. And that's why I believe in guardian angels.